Welcome everybody, coming back to another dang on review of my reaction and my thoughts to the NBA games tonight. And by God, did we get some good NBA games. I was like, Mr. Buckets, Mr. Jimmy, Mr. J. I was like, made me almost sound like Harley Quinn, like Mr. J. Never mind. I was like, playoff Jimmy. I was like, playoff J, playoff B, Jimmy Buckets, whatever you wanted to call him. I was like, that was that man tonight. This is my, this is my. That dude was here all day, and by God, if you would have told me that Miami won a game when Giannis comes back and gets like a triple double and has over 20 points, but Brooke Lopez has over 30 points. I would also imagine, I'm like, well, hell, what did Middleton and what did Drew Holiday do on top of that? Because there's no way Miami would have won that game, except for how do you counteract those two dudes having an awesome and a career night. Jimmy effing Buckets over here giving the same thing over here with a 50 and a couple extra pieces. That's how you do it. I swear that dude in the playoffs, he becomes a whole different dude. And I can act like this about this game happening all. Oh, this was happening. This was happening. Nah, it really wasn't. It was really those three dudes. That's what it was. Cause you know what? I'll give a little bit of a shout out to Caleb Martin. I was like, I remember him from the good old Hornet days. Uh, became I was like a dude that was like got some time on a little bench, but I was like over here he becoming a good value player. Um, no, it was really just a grinded out Miami Heat kind of game. I was like, Robinson didn't really go off. Lowry, didn't really go off. I was like, I mean, he's at the pace, but he ain't really going off. Bam, he was okay, but he couldn't get nothing really going in the paint. And sometimes with Bam, I don't understand that. I'm like, okay, you got, especially like on the game day like this where you got Giannis and you got Lopez all in the paint, but there's also Portis in the paint too. That I don't understand why he doesn't uh, do a little bit more mid range because he's really good for like foul line shots or whatever. And at some point he's going to have to step out and get a little bit more of a 3-pointer to really take advantage of, like especially like him going to the lane and trying to drive and trying to go up. But this is just he's just not height wise as far like and it doesn't take away from his defense, but height wise it's just not it's not good for him going inside. But anyway, I was like out of here. Uh, Also props to the Miami Heat for having all these dudes who ain't never been drafted. And I was like seeing that, and then they show like a list, and it was like four other teams who had like Miami got the most, but everybody else had like at least about five undrafted players, and I guess like that really play an actual role other than just having undrafted dudes on the team. And I wonder, as a side thought, that I wonder because there's so many guys going to the league even more now, and then you got like overseas and the G League and college and all these things that I'm wondering if that actually might increase. Because I was like, while getting drafted guarantees you a spot for a while, but there's so many people that I wonder at some point is it's just going to be just a more of a regular thing on squads now because there's so many people in the pool of things. But that's a side note. Getting back to Mr. Jimmy Buckets, because that dude was like, on my back, I'm taking you where we got to go. Oh, to a victory. Because that's all that dude kept doing at every single moment. And it's just like, it was just like slow and methodical kind of game, like it was. And on the Buck side, it really was just Giannis and Lopez doing like a little, like they were just doing a dance in the combo. Like Holiday gave him some points. Middleton has still sort of just been like, man. or whatnot. Just and it seemed like Butler was really cooking Middleton a lot more. It seemed like a lot of his matchups with that one, he was really getting Middleton. But in this game, it was really just Jimmy, and it just like picking the shots, grinding out. Just when you think they're about to, like, it's like, oh, they got a couple buckets in a row. Jimmy just hit a mid range, then Jimmy just come back and hit another mid range. But I was like, that for a quarter was wild. When it was just, which is weird that it was basically like, yes, it was the Jimmy show. But that's when Martin just came up with a couple back-to-back shots, and like the game later on, it was really a weird mix of how, I mean, a real transition of how they were similar. But this is one of the few cool games that wasn't a like a X and O or tick for tack or tat, like it as far as like just like watching the game, there was nothing great. It was really Giannis coming back playing like Giannis, Brook Lopez having the best game of his life, and but both teams just really just playing defense, and and Jimmy on the other side just being like, yo, we need some buckets. I'm gonna take these buckets. We gonna go down how we go down. Except for, guess what? I don't let us go down. Not especially when he hot like that. So I was like, Jimmy has sort of always been like one of my favorite players, like to watch, just because from where he came from in like Chicago, and just like, like, not talking about just his life and period, but just seeing his development of a basketball player. Just seeing him with the Chicago Day with him and Joakim Noah and Gibson and Rose, and especially how a lot of those dudes developed from that Bulls team. But uh, but no, he's playoffs. Like I said, different dude, always different dude. Yeah, but that was just a good game of just like when they showed a little highlight thing, or like if you go and watch it on YouTube, or they ever showed like the game again and stuff like that, it really was just like that, where just like star player versus star player, and that's really kind of what it was in this one. It was like role players optional. Anyway, so now we went from one exciting game to, oh hot damn, another exciting game with the Lakers and the Grizzlies. And I was like, not only did it deliver, it kept delivering several times. I imagine that if you're a fan of either one of these squads, I was like, I felt like you kept on like, oh no, wait, no, going back. I was like having to go back and forth, because that's how it felt for the longest. At the beginning of the game, I thought it was going to be a repeat of the last game, where I just was like, I don't think this it's going to be like a blowout, but it was just like one of those games where it just seemed like, oh, okay, cool. It's just going to be a constant. They're up 15. They're up 15. They're going to make a little bit of run. Bam, they're back up at 20 or what. It looked like it was about to get away from LeBron. Was off to a hot start. And then you had, I was like, Reef was chipping in, and they were playing with really good energy. Um, and then I really feel like the tide changed in the second quarter, because none of the Memphis Grizzlies was really hitting any shots. I mean, they were sort of staying close, but they wasn't really hitting shots. And then they just went. And then it was just like, if it was like a 12-4 or something like that run or something like it was. At going towards the end of half, and I felt like, I think it was a couple fouls, and it just seemed like they got Baines going with like a couple, like they got them going with a couple of shots and a couple of free throws, and they would have kept fouling. And when they had the momentum, considering that Davis wasn't playing well, which he didn't really have a good game, D'Angelo Russell, I'll get to his part a little bit later, but. Uh, but they wasn't hitting anything, and I felt like they got into such a good rhythm, and then they was able to get it. They was able to close it out at half in order to make it an actual game. That I feel like they had the momentum going, and you sort of seen that going into the next half, where Baines just couldn't be stopped at that point. And I was like, that dude was missing buckets, and all of a sudden he was just making shots. I was like, Morant, he almost, he's like Westbrook, where just nonstop energy, nonstop just adrenaline, and he just going. Dude got a broken hand, and it don't matter. He's still jumping up in the air, trying to slam it down, about to get hurt all over again. And he ain't afraid, or nothing like that. He get up and he ready to go. Unlike Davis over here, where he falls down and get hurt, and then it's like, oh, cool. Hold on, we gotta take a minute. Is he okay? He all right? I mean, he continued to play or whatever, but sometimes I feel like with Davis, it's sort of at the point now where you sort of see like it's weird where it's like one where he fell with his like hip. LeBron wasn't that far away from him, and I know they threw it back. I know they threw it in, and they progressed it. But I was like, Schroeder went to go pick him up, but LeBron just kept walking, and it sort of feel like that now, where people are just kind of like, I know you can't necessarily stop, the play is still going, but it seems like everybody just kind of like with Davis, and it's sort of odd. Um, I was like, Rui didn't have his type of game, but luckily he didn't have to worry about it because everybody else picked up the slack. Reeves is like it's been a pretty good consistent dude in this whole thing, and with his timely shots. And I was like, that dude keep going to the basket. I was like, hey, he was getting his shot blocked a couple times, but he kept going to the basket, so I give it to him. Not just settling for jumper. Uh, which I guess I'll go to D'Angelo, and that boy lucky that he in that fourth quarter that he hit he had like 8 buckets. Cause boy was he screwing up and being I it was at one point, I think it was like early in the fourth quarter where I think they put him back in, that I just yelled out no out of nowhere, just because he's been playing like that bad where he's either making ill-advised shots, or when he's open for the shots, he's not hitting anything. He would turn the ball over, and I get that Brooks was on him on a couple of plays, but it just seemed like he wasn't getting no pushback. And it's like, I know he could take ill-advised shots and sort of be erratic and have poor judgment of like shots or whatever. But I also imagine that I was like, his handle is like good, where I'm like, man, he seemed like he should be getting to the basket a little bit better than this, or at least open the creating shots a lot better for people. And maybe that's also because David wasn't being like, dominant Davis either, to where it's like, where Jackson, because he's a shot blocker waiting. I mean, he's like a shot blocker waiting for it like to happen, that he was able to leave Davis. So therefore he's like, okay, you ain't really worried about them as much or whatever. Because even Vanderbilt, he can't shoot, but he's going to be around the basket. He's going to constantly get his hands on ball, that he's going to get, a lot of his point. You could get off like effort and stuff like that. You could get about 8 to like 12 points. So I was like, that's what Vanderbilt does. And I know there was like a point where I was like, oh, maybe they should play Obama. I see why they don't play him. I was like, I get it a lot more. It was sort of at the beginning of the series that I said that. Tillman been very good with them, but I was like, their amount of forward actually work in this situation. Malik Beasley is still streaky in a way that I sort of feel like, I guess that's why your choice between him and D'Angelo. I guess, and I was like, I guess D'Angelo is at least a lot better on like switches and stuff like that than Beasley. I thought maybe Schroeder should have, I was like, I mean, he chipped in with a good amount of points and stuff like that, and his playmaking, he gets to the basket really well. I guess I was just like, go ahead, just leave them out here, almost like they're playing kind of thing. But D'Angelo, I was like, he hit like three back to back, and then got like to the basket and like most of the fourth quarter until he fouled out. So he was able to redeem himself, because I was totally over him. I was like, in my head, I'm like, I know it might not be great, but I was like, yo, play Troy Brown, play Lonnie Walker. I was like, I somebody got to be better than what he's giving out now. But in saying that, I was like, LeBron, somebody need to get him one of them Gatorade fists after this. Somebody gonna have to give him a Red Bull or something, cause that dude was over here with 2020, by the end of it, and he had about 18 rebounds going towards the end of like the fourth and the overtime, but the amount of points he had to score, and considering how he just like he tapped into that extra fuel or whatever. I don't know. Maybe Dylan was saying enough that he wanted to shut him up or whatever. But he led them victory. Then Reeves was a close second. D'Angelo hit timely buckets, and I think Memphis might be able to pull. They're going back to Memphis, so I think they'll pull that one. I think the Lakers will win the last one, but probably should go ahead and especially if LeBron's not tired. I was like, nah, it's tired, but you don't want to strain him out, and you want to save him for whoever is going to win this next series. I believe it's. I believe it's the Nuggets. No. It'd be Golden State. Never mind. It'd be Golden State, Sacramento, whoever win that game. And yeah, you're gonna need your energy for both of them. Cause that's gonna be a fun series too. But either way, tonight was a really good night, especially of star players coming out, and where it's Jimmy buckets and LeBron over here pushing back the time clock and putting on a performance where he's like, and they both were just like, my team ain't losing tonight. I be damn. And that's what we got, and this is why you gotta like the playoffs, cause you're gonna get the stars to shine where they make a name, that is their name, or somebody else new come to play for the game. Maybe that should be like a logo or something. Nah. We'll reshop it. We'll reshop it. Anyway, if you like anything I had to say here, hey, I appreciate it. Thanks. If not, hey, maybe next time. We'll see. Anyway, that's just my little, couple cents on the dollar, a couple cents in the piggy bank, a couple cents in the milk, or a couple cents from your noggin. Anyway, all right, I appreciate it. Gone long enough. Anyway, till next time. Peace. I'm out.